welcome to another episode of Community Connections, airing right here on OROMIA11. I am your host, Anna Orr, and today we are talking all things hot fun in the summertime. That's right, you heard it first. We are talking community programming, kids involvement, we are talking swimming lessons, biking, hiking, entrepreneurship, and sustainability with two employees of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. This is going to be a wonderful episode you won't want to miss. Thank you both for joining me. Can you introduce yourselves to our viewers and talk to them a little bit about the organization you guys represent?
My name is Abdurrahman Mukhtar, and I'm with Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Board.
My name is Ishmael Saeed, and I'm a recreation supervisor for the Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Board.
So talk to me a little bit about, Ishmael, what that means to be the recreational supervisor. Now, it sounds like a fun time to me.
Yeah.
But can you explain to our viewers that may not be familiar with that role?
So it is a good time for sure. Basically, my role is I'm in charge of East Phillips Recreation Center. So my job is to oversee programs, staff, facilities at East Phillips Community Center. And so that entails a lot of different things, just kind of making sure that our staff are doing what they need to do. We are offering the best programs that we're able to offer. Our facilities are up to date and everything's going well, smooth. Just kind of overseeing that, and so that's kind of my current role.
Okay. So, for the East Phillips neighborhood.
For the East Phillips Parks and Rec, and before that, I was a youth program specialist for 3 years also. So I am new into that role. I've only been doing it for since February. So
okay.
Yep.
But it sounds like you've had some history doing this in the community.
Yep. So yeah, I've worked with Minneapolis Parks and Recreation for about 4 years. So before I was a youth program specialist, which is I worked with ages 12 to 17 and did all programming for ages 12 to 17. So which are our teen age, and we did a lot of a bundle amount of programming, but on top of just doing programming stuff, helping out in the facility also was part of my role. So I was a supportive staff in that. And so now I'm in kind of like a supervisor role, which is a little different for me. But I actually was doing it last year. I started in May of last year as a detailed recreation supervisor. Okay. So it's kind of like a special assignment. I was kind of filling in for someone, and then I got hired on in February. So I've been with the park board for 4 to 5 years now. I've been in different roles, but I've been kind of had my hand in different cookie jars for sure. So,
well, we're excited to have you today on this episode of Community Connections, because I think you bring a very unique perspective to what you do, but also about the communities in which you guys serve across the greater metro. Can you talk to me, Abdi, about your role? I know you are no longer on site in a specific park, but you are in the big office. Can you talk about what you're doing day to day?
No, thank you, Anna. Actually, the department that I work for and my title goes well with the Community Connection program. I'm with the Community Connections and Violence Prevention Department. Mm-hmm. My role is Community Connection Coordinator.
Okay.
And what that role entails is to connect resources to community members, but also attend community meetings, events, neighborhood meetings, engage community members about the park board and educate them and create awareness about the resources, the programs, but at the same time, mentoring young people. Within the Community Connection Department, we have Connections team, which I'm part of, and we also have Action team, which is our street reach team. Mm-hmm. And we also work with people who are dealing with mental health issues, people who are, as you know, the city of Minneapolis, we do have a lot of people who are unhoused, people who are homeless, sleeping on our parks. Mm-hmm. We connect them to resources. So in our department mainly is our community connection and making sure that we are connecting to resources to community members, but also connecting park board staff to community resources.
Okay. Now, can you talk to me a little bit about the population in which you guys are serving in these specific areas? Are you seeing a lot more black and brown children? Are you seeing a lot more white and indigenous children, Latinx? Let me know what the landscape you guys are looking at.
So the Minneapolis
youth
Park
and-
and Rec is unique. We have a recreation center in every neighborhood, and it's a citywide. It's a city. So sometimes you'll see. I'm not wearing today, but we wear T-shirts that say Minneapolis is parks. What makes Minneapolis beautiful is our lakes and parks and regional parks. So the demographics that we see depends on the neighborhood. If Ismail, for example, I will let Ismail talk about East Phillips. In East Phillips, you will see mainly East African families, young people, Native American youth, African American, but also other Caucasian families who live there. So every park is different, but in general, it's a citywide, and everyone can participate in these programs. But again, depending on the neighborhood,
Absolutely.
the demographics may change. And Ismail, since you are a director, you can talk about who you mostly see, for example, East Phillips or in general.
So I held 2 positions, and I was at East Phillips, but I was detailed at Brackett, and they're kind of very different. At Brackett, we're seeing a lot of young families, a lot of Caucasian people in that neighborhood. And at East Phillips, there's a lot of kids who look like me. We have a lot of Native communities, as Little Earth is across the street. We have a lot of Latino kids, African American kids. It's super, super diverse and super, like, it's a big melting pot. It's actually really cool to see Latino kids playing and Somali kids playing, and you know, and then like different ages of people, and so it's a really cool melting pot, and so it's a very unique situation, and I think maybe it might be one of the more unique parks in the city, and with Minneapolis, the greatest thing about it is that there's a park within 6 blocks of every kid, so, and anyone who wants to enjoy the parks. So each park is almost like has a different taste, has a different look, has, you know, different programs, and each park looks different and has a different vibe. So you know, a lot of kids are, even our kids who come to our programs, who are our daily regulars, are bouncing from park to park. This park has a better basketball gym, so we're going to go here. This park has the turf soccer field, we're going to go here. This park, we can go swimming, we can go there. So like just kind of just jumping between the parks and using all the resources. So it is really cool to see.
I think that's wonderful, and I think it gives kids an opportunity to socialize with other kids that they may not come in contact with, whether they go to school or which neighborhood they may play basketball in. They're able to kind of soak up a little bit of everything, the greater different cultures that we have within the Twin Cities area. Now, can you both talk to me about what led you to working to the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Office? When I was traditionally coming up, I didn't see a lot of black and brown men working in the offices, so it is refreshing to know that you guys are doing this amazing work in the community.
No, thank you. For me, I started summer of 2000 when I graduated from high school as a youth line staff member. And Elliot, at that time, we had a lot of East African youth, but who were not connected to the parks. That was something new. And I was able to get a summer job from Elliott Park, and that led me the passion of youth work, and it's something that I have done over 22 years now and still do any role that I can play. So, and I also love nature, so I didn't know a lot about the parks, but because I was doing youth line, I was able to introduce outdoor activities, recreational activities to young people. And even though I left the park board, I was able to come back 5 years ago, and because of what I know now, my role helps me to go out and educate community members, new immigrants, about the programs that exist, about the park board, and the amazing programs that we have. It's a little bit challenging. I know sometimes it's really hard to navigate the system. And then when you cannot read and write even native language, let alone navigating a system, whether it's the education or health system or even our parks. It's a little bit challenging. And that's why a lot of times we table at community events and go to community meetings. I do attend a lot of community events, community meetings, and that's when you connect to community members and parents, and you educate them about the programs and use social media. But to me, it was not intentional. I needed summer job, and I lived right next to Elliott Park, and I was able to get a summer job. But then that led to my love of outdoor and youth work and activities. So.
Similar to Abdurrahman, I kind of just stumbled upon youth work. My dad actually runs an organization, a nonprofit organization called Somali American Youth Enrichment Club, and I was a part of the soccer program and the youth program that they were kind of doing at the time, and it led me to be like, wow, this is really cool. So at 18 years old, I'm coaching 12-year-old kids in soccer, and I'm developing a really intense relationship with these kids. Like, they're like my little brothers. I'm like looking after them. So I just kind of continue doing it. And as I continue doing it, I then get into a fellowship program at Augsburg University where I was attending, and I started helping out at Brian Coyle, and all these kids look exactly like me. So I'm seeing my little brothers running around, and so I continue doing this, and I continue coaching soccer, and I then become community manager position for that role, and so I'm just kind of like doing these things, not seeing that it's setting me up for something in the future, but like it's because I'm doing it just because I really enjoy coaching, or I really enjoy hanging out with these young people who are like 6-7 years younger than me. I'm a youth myself, but I'm mentoring youth. So I just thought it was really cool, and I didn't think much of it. And then I graduated, and I'm looking at my resume, and I'm like, how can I get a job, So I graduated with an exercise science degree, and I was planning on going to physical therapy school. And I'm like, how can I get a job today, to help out my family and everything? And I'm looking at my resume, and I just see youth work at Coyle Center, youth work here, youth work. I'm like maybe youth work is my route. And so I applied to become a youth program specialist and do youth line at Minneapolis Park and Recreation. And then I was like, and that's when I discovered like this is a thing, like people can have a job at this, and it's not just a hobby and something you do like just for fun, And so I started doing a lot of youth work for the Minneapolis Park and Recreation as a full-time position. I really developed a really like strong relationship with these kids. I actually went to like a handful of graduations in May this year from kids who I started off working with when they were 8th, 9th graders. So it was very like touching for me that these kids are inviting me to their graduations and want me to continue to be a part of their lives. When I saw, obviously I had that connection, but from the outside looking in, I was just doing my job. And so it really meant a lot to them, and it really means a lot to me to be working with the youth. And at the end of the day, like looking at someone who's in a like higher position and seeing yourself in it does a lot for kids, And so a lot of times you're playing basketball, you're playing soccer, playing video games, you're going swimming with these kids, but like these conversations you're having are really impacting kids. And so I see the way like kids look at me, or like even Somali parents and stuff look at me when I tell them, oh yeah, I'm the manager, I'm the supervisor. They go, oh, like wait, they let people like you do that? I'm like, yeah, like I'm the supervisor here, I'm the manager, what can I help you with? And the Somali mom at like the guard comes down. Do you get what I'm saying? All of a sudden she's like, oh, someone here like who's my family basically can help me out. The kid is like, wow, that's really cool, And so I do thank Minneapolis Park Recreation for that opportunity, and for them taking the initiative to have representation in the community. So
I think that's very important. Representation definitely matters.
Yeah.
And in some of the most unexpected places we wouldn't expect to see someone that looks like us. But like we say, most times we're everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's refreshing for kids to be able to see someone like Abdi in the office doing the community work, and then to see you, Ishmael, on the ground day to day, really plugging in and making those connections with kids. Now, my favorite part of the conversation, let's talk activities that are going on at the East Phillips Park and some of the different initiatives that are being offered through the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Would you like to go first, Ishmael, by letting us know some of the initiatives? I wanted to do this episode because I know that COVID shifted so many things for so many families, from going to summer camp to kids being in sports and having different lessons. And now kids are reemerging, and I'm seeing on my way in today the most amazing greenery in our parks and things like that. And I'm wondering, what can kids and parents start doing to start engaging more with our parks?
So I think first we gotta start with like everything at East Phillip is free. So Minneapolis made an initiative, the Parks and Rec, they made an initiative to have free sites across the city, and the free sites are based off demographics, based off social and economic disparities, and so they're looking at how much people make and what can people afford really, and so there's a whole bunch of sites across the city that are free, and East Phillips luckily is one of them, and so everything we do is free, and we have kind of different type of programming. So we have our youth line programs, which we have a youth program such as Courtney Gilman, who does some amazing work, and I'm just at awe of her talents at times. And so she has a girls group where she's taking girls ages 12 to 17 on trips like the global market and different things, and Stone Arc Bridge, and different just kind of sightseeing around the city, and just working on mentorship and just kind of creating that sense of community for these kids. And then we have things like our Friday swim club, and so Friday swim club is we're going to a pool or a beach every Friday, and as long as it's sunny outside, we're going to be at a pool or a beach. And so they're at Theodore Worth Beach the other day, and so we're just kind of, and then the week before we're at Jim Lupian, which is another water park. So every Friday these kids are taking their swim towels and everything, and they're hopping on a bus, and which a van which our city provides. So transportation is free, the activities is free. So we're just kind of our goal is to get rid of every obstacle for these kids to enjoy these programs. And so even more so, we have quite a few team programs. We have our gardening club, and kids are working on creating food to table. So kind of gardening to table. So they're growing tomatoes and peppers and watermelon, different things, so the kids can see you can grow your own food. And so it's just an array of different programs that is being provided just by our youth programs such as this. And then from our ages 12 and down, we're doing things called Kid Connect, Mondays through Thursdays. And our Kid Connect program is an array of different things. Every day it's our staff is coming up with a different program. So the other day the kids were playing Uno and making peanut butter jelly sandwiches. So it could be as simple as that, or we're having a field day outside and playing kickball. So we're always constantly creating different activities for our youth, and the goal for us is to make sure that every kid in that building is enjoying their time. And then on top of it, we have our open gym times, and Tuesdays and Thursdays is for teens ages from 16 to 19. So we're just also trying to catch those, late high school ages and stuff. And so Tuesday and Thursday nights, we have a lot of young East African boys and Native boys who come in, and they're playing 3-on-3. It's pretty intense. I try to join them every once in a while, but they're kicking my butt. So
I was gonna say that sounds dangerous.
Yeah,
try to keep up.
They call me an old man, and I don't know if I'm too old, but I cannot keep up with them. But and so and then the open gym, and then we have our playground and our fields and our splash pad, and our splash pad is being our pool. It's a pool maybe 2 feet up, and so it's not anything. We don't even have we don't have a lifeguard, and so but every night the pool is full, 30-40 people, kids in that pool. So just kind of cooling down and enjoying it. So there's always something to do for the youth. And then also on adults, we have ceramics. We have a lot of different programs going on, even for the adults. So I think people a lot of times don't know what's happening, and then they come in and they go, wait. The other day we had a young Latina girl who's 13 years old, and she's like, wait, I can just sign up? I'm like, yeah, you can sign up. And she goes, okay, what do I have to do? How much is it? I'm like, it's free. And she goes, she just looked so puzzled and confused, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of funny to me, but it was so amazing kind of seeing her like realize like this is like there's no obstacle here, there's no obstacle for me, there's no obstacle for my family, and that's the goal at the end of the day. So
I think that's beautiful to
Yeah.
hear, and to realize all the amazing ways you guys are fostering community
Yeah.
by doing simple day-to-day things, getting kids together, teaching them games, having them make snacks, things that they may be doing at home or may not be doing at home, and realizing these are skills that I'm going to need as I continue to get older and older, to be able to provide food for myself, to entertain myself, to know how to socialize. I think it's really important and really beautiful to hear. Can you talk to me, Abdi, a little bit about some of the ways you guys are engaging the community on a different level outside of your community meetings? I know you said that you're in the community doing a lot of one-on-one work and talking to people, as well as hearing the crisis of the communities.
Yeah, again, other than attending a lot of community meetings, we also live in the community and work in the community. We attend community events and meetings that have been invited to us. But one of the ways we engage communities also, other than the recreation programs that we have in every recreation center, during the summer we have the movies that take place 7 days a week. And I did brought some brochures that these are free,
Yeah.
and you can grab this any park.
Okay.
And this lists all the parks, all the movies and the music events that take place. Our pop-up parks are free programs for families and kids. We intentionally go to satellite sites that don't have a gym or a huge building. And those, you can get those if you go to our website. Technology changed a lot. Everyone have their smartphones now. If you go to MinneapolisParks.org, all the activities that I listed, even our summer highlights, will be there. And one of the things that Ismail mentioned is water parks and swimming.
Absolutely.
It's summer, and I think 2 days ago, yesterday, maybe on Monday, was one of the hottest days in Minnesota for the whole year. But North Commons, our water park's free the whole summer.
Please repeat that for
Yeah,
viewers that
it's
are
free. North Commons is free. Weber Park also is free. You can swim there. Jim Lupian, you'll pay the lowest fee you can pay any water park, I believe, in the state, maybe. But again, our regional parks and lakes, you will see a lot of elders, community members, families who are biking, who are walking in the evening, who are just enjoying some of the places. Like if you go to Minneapolis, it's very popular. Everyone
It's
knows.
so beautiful there.
But it's a regional park. Also, Lake Harriet is a regional park. If you go there, you can find ice cream, food, but you could also hang out with your family. There are some activities you may end up seeing, a music concert. And those are some of the ways that we connect. And other than going to community meetings and community events, our website is a location where people can find all these resources.
Okay.
And we will make sure we'll give you our customer phone number, customer service. You can call that, and they will connect you specifically. And this is the OROMIA11 TV. My brothers and sisters from the Oromo community, we do see them. They live in the city of Minneapolis. A lot of them may know Brian Coyle Center and see the Riverside Cary Park. But again, like Ismail said, these are free programs for the whole family, not only for kids. I think the most important way we connect with families and young people is really connecting a trusted adult, someone that can mentor young people, like Ismail. Someone, and our youth line staff that we have, they are very passionate about youth work, and they are experts, professionals who really love helping young people succeed, and that goes a long way. We only talk about programs, but we don't talk about that personal connection, that connection, face-to-face human connection. When at the end of the day, Ismail is getting invited to a graduation ceremonies.
So beautiful.
It's because of that mentorship and that connection that we create with these young people.
Absolutely. That we've heard last lifetimes. People are not only graduating and matriculating throughout the community, but then turning around and hopefully plugging back in themselves and wanting to serve.
Yes.
Now, how can we, viewers at home, people that are like me that may not have a child to bring to the park, how can we support the work you guys are doing day to day?
We have volunteer opportunities. People can come actually volunteer with us. We also, if you have specific skills, we're always looking for coaches, mentors, people who
instructors.
Homework help, people who can help with kids with homework. We do have a studios technology, our Sparks studio. If you don't like basketball, we know our kids don't like basketball or soccer. You may be into technology, but we do have free programming, and we have studios where kids can create. And the goal is really teaching our young people to create, not only consume technology, but create technology themselves. What are other ways you can use?
I would say, especially adults, kind of plugging into the community. A lot of times we're looking for instructors. We're looking for, if whatever it is, the skill that you have, presenting it, we can turn it into a program. The idea is that I even had I had a parent who was coming to our top program in Brackett Park. She came up to me and she was really into music, and she told me, hey, I want to do a music class for young kids, a sing-along, and then maybe a music class for adults. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Her music class was doubling the amount of kids coming to our top program, and kids were singing. It was toddler music class. Parents loved it. Everyone loved it. And she just had a skill and she had an idea, and she asked me, hey, what can I do with this good idea? And we turned it into something. And so we're always looking for you to kind of come with your skill. And if you're trying to figure out how can I help and, plug into the community, we're always looking for help in that aspect. So
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, we do also offer swimming lessons at Phillips Aquatic Center. And I believe even our females who want to do activities only with females, we have specific nights for East African women that they can actually go there and swim at the Aquatic Center at Phillips.
Feel comfortable,
I think that's important to offer a culturally sensitive program or opportunities for women and for men that are looking for that type of engagement. Yeah,
because the way our women dress, sometimes it's easy for men and our boys to enjoy these programs, but some of our women want that specific culturally appropriate privacy programming, and we do have at, for example, at Phillips Aquatic Center, specific days that they can go. You can actually visit at Phillips Aquatic Center and find out. But we also have swimming lessons for kids because water safety is huge. We want to make sure our kids learn early how to swim.
Absolutely.
And we are encouraging parents to make sure they teach their kids and take advantage of these free, affordable programs that are specific for them. And these are sometimes designed. We actually had, if you want to be a lifeguard, we had free program for East African youth to learn becoming a lifeguard at the Phillips Aquatic Center.
And I think just to add, I think a lot of the programs in which we're doing are enriching programs and trying to teach life skills, whether it's swimming, whether it's biking, whether it's gardening to table, whatever it is that we're trying to do, there's a skill behind it that we're trying to instill in the youth to then be able to use in their adult life. And so that's a goal. And so a lot of times we're looking at it, even I think just to add employment-wise, we have a teen teamwork program, and so Minneapolis Parks and Recreation is one of the largest teen employers in the city of Minneapolis. And so currently at East Phillips we have 2 teen workers, and they're 15, 16 years old, and so they're learning how to be, how to work and how to develop these skills of completing tasks and completing timesheets and doing X, Y, and Z and seeing a job through and being on time. And these are skills that like you don't learn like just by waking up. You get what I'm saying? These are skills that you develop. And some people, it takes some trial and error. And we're trying to work with our youth to develop these skills of employment skills. So by the time they get to 20, 21, 22 years old, they've had a job for 5-6 years and they know what they're doing, and so they know how to, do any job to the best of their ability. So the goal is to, a lot of times with our youth, is just to create enriching programs and teach life skills more than anything. And so a lot of times that's what we're working on. And the kids and the families may see like the outside perspective. The kids are just going swimming, they're having fun, but it's like, okay, what's underneath the swimming is we're teaching these kids a life skill for safety. You know what I mean? Underneath the biking, there's a form of transportation that a lot of people use, and is also eco-friendly form of transportation. So just we have a lot of talented people who are trying to do a lot of things, and so that's kind of like what we're working on at Minneapolis Park and Recreation.
I think one thing I will add to is that some of the programs have fee, but we always have scholarships available.
Okay.
So it's good to ask if there are any scholarships available, because we will not turn down anyone due to the fee that they have to pay. But sometimes, if it's not free, if it's affordable, and if you cannot afford those fees, we also have fees available. And every location is different, and you can talk to whoever is running that program or the director. It is very helpful to know that at the end of the day, we will not turn down anyone due to fee and funding.
I think that's wonderful to share with viewers, because I know a lot of people are trying to pinch their pennies and figure out how to make $1 out of 15 cents. So it's very important to hear that fee is not going to be an issue to stop you or your family from being able to engage in any of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation opportunities this summer. Let's talk a little bit about community safety and how people that may have some hesitancy about sending their children to the parks. Can you kind of reassure parents and or guardians about the need to, relinquish their kids into the community knowing that they're going into a safe and healthy environment?
I think working at a rec center, I think a lot of times it is good to have parent involvement in a lot of if you're bringing your 7-year-old to a park, probably come with your 7-year-old, and so we don't live, our parks are not in a bubble. They're not in like a safety bubble from the community. At the end of the day, like, we live in a large community, a lot of things happen. But our Minneapolis Park and Recreation staff are doing everything they can to make sure that our kids are able to enjoy the park in a safe and like clean environment. And so, we're collabing with Street Reach, and Street Reach is a program in which, and Abdi could talk a little bit more about this because that's actually in his right down his alley. But we have at East Phillips Park, we have a Street Reach person who's coming and helping out, just making sure that the park is safe and that everyone's kind of behaving and there's no ruckus or anything like that in the park. And so a lot of times our parks are really safe. Specifically at East Phillips, I think that safety isn't something that it's a huge concern at East Phillips Park. And that's because of the work we're doing as a staff to make sure that specifically our community, and whether it's sometimes we're using strategies of like, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of programming outside in the park so people are seeing, kids, and there's music playing. People are less likely then to do different things in that area. And so a lot of times we're using different strategies to implement safety. And so I think our staff are doing an excellent job, and so I think maybe Abdi can talk a little bit more.
I think because we went through 3 years of very challenging in the city of Minneapolis, but the parks are the safest, and we actually have the lowest crime compared to the city in our parks. We do have our own police. Most people don't know that. Minneapolis Park and Recreation have their own police department, and our park police have been doing an amazing job of making sure everyone stays safe. But also we do have a street reach staff, which is part of the department that I am, community connection and violence prevention. Our street reach staff also connect to young people. They mentor young people who may be at risk. These are highly experienced staff who have a lot of experience of working with young people. And not every youth, but also some of the very challenging demographics. Some of the very challenging young adults or young people who may be at risk. They know how to work with them and how to mentor them. But again, activation, we activate. We do have a lot of activities happening on the sites. And when you have that, sometimes that's a good way of making sure you're keeping everyone safe. Unfortunately, sometimes things will happen. We don't control that. But comparing to the city of Minneapolis and what is happening in the citywide, our parks and lakes and actually regional parks are the safest. So and I can say that if there are any safety concerns, we always welcome that feedback. But safety is also a collective effort. And then we encourage everyone to participate and make sure that we keep our kids and our parks safe collectively.
And I think, just to add, I think having the kids at our park, the parks, is also a tool to like deter youth from different avenues, you know. And so a lot of times you'll talk to kids and they'll say things like, oh, you know, being on that basketball team or being in part of that activity kind of saved my life, you know. And you're like, what does that entail? And what the kid is saying is like, I'd be up to no good if I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. Do you know? So a lot of times, you know, I can't remember the quote, but I think I've heard a quote that's saying that in order to change a group of people, you need to start with the youth. And so mentoring and putting a lot of work into this youth, which is what we do every single day, is so that we can build, you know, strong adults, so that in the next generation, we're not having, you know, similar issues, and that we're getting better as a community. And so a lot of times it's safe for your kid to be playing basketball at East Phillips Gym than to be, you know, just hanging out with his friends, because, you know, they're kids and sometimes they can get into some stuff. And so I always, you know, tell, you know, parents whenever they kind of ask for advice, and I always tell them, hey, like, keep your kid as busy as possible, because, you know, like, they're kids and they're just going to get into things. And so the more, you know, these teenagers and these young kids are active and on a basketball team and this, the less time they have to do X, Y, and Z. And so our staff and our teams and even our park police, they're stopping by once a day, once every couple of days, to just stop by and say hi. So and their car being there, them walking around saying hi, walking around talking to kids at the park, that itself deters, you know, crime from our parks. And so everyone is kind of like has their, like, it's just, we're all kind of, from Abdi to me to the street reach team to the park, everyone's kind of working together to make sure that it is safe and welcoming to family. So
yeah, I think when we're trying to create that village, it takes a village to raise a child. And other than actually keeping them busy when young people participate physical activities, that's health for them too, because of the diet, because of social media and technology. Kids want to stay home and play video games all day.
It's true.
There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, making sure you take advantage of our beautiful parks and lakes. And you know, when you take kids to a canoeing field trip, that may be a lifetime experience that you know they may not get any other place. Every Friday, if you're going to swim in a lake or a water park, those are the memories that kids will remember. And specifically during the summer, like you said, we went through COVID-19, everything shut down. We adults were dealing with a lot of mental health related isolation.
Very true.
But we don't talk about young people and how it affected. It really affected a lot of young people, because our kids going to school that was the environment with their friends hanging out. That's the environment, maybe the only place that allowed them to be themselves. But when you are learning virtually and you cannot go outside and everything shut down, it created a lot of issues for young people, and we don't address those things. So going through the nature, green space, going to kayaking and canoeing field trip with other kids and friends, with adults that care about you, goes a long way. Yeah. And that's what we offer at the parks. We may not offer in every location, but we definitely have something for everyone. Other than recreational activities and art, we also have golf classes and golf clubs. And these are the list of golf locations and the phone numbers that you can call to find out what activities they offer. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful to both of you for the amazing work you guys are doing in the community and in our parks across the greater Minneapolis area. Thank you guys for joining me today on this episode of Community Connections.
No, thank you. We're actually honored to be here. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fortunately, that is all the time that we have for today's episode. I hope you have been excited as I am to get out and enjoy, whether it be swimming lessons, ceramic, or free movie nights in the park with your kids, that you decide to go out and experience all the wonderful splendor that Minneapolis parks and regional parks and recreation center offer our communities. A special thank you to Ishmael and Abdi for joining me today. And I hope that something was said today that inspired you to get out and connect with your community. As always, I am your host, Anna Orr. I look forward to connecting again with you soon.